All right, friends, welcome back to our look at 2 Samuel. We're in the back half of chapter 3 today, all the way through chapter 4. And these are tough verses. I'm just going to go ahead and warn you, they're tough verses. I've spent a lot of time really thinking and candidly kind of praying through, right, what are we going to pull out of this? And what I'm going to pull out of it is just one thought that I think echoes really throughout David's story and David's life, that I think echoes throughout our lives also. So just to kind of reset, remind us where we are. The big stumbling block for a long time to David becoming king is that Saul is on the throne. He refuses, David does, on at least 2 occasions, to take matters into his own hands, go ahead and kill Saul, and then ascend to the throne. He resists that temptation, at least 2 occasions. Then when Saul dies, you kind of expect, oh, David will just immediately ascend to the throne and like David will have arrived. That's not the case. There's a big tumultuous transfer of power here. Now, this reading for today, I mean, it really reminds me of a couple of different things. One is just how bloody the ancient world was, and some of the world today is still that way. I mean, this is just what the transition of power looked like in the ancient world, and in many parts of the world today, there's all of this violence. And it also reminds me that the Bible does not present the world the way that it should be. It presents the way the world actually is, which is part of what I want to kind of pick at today. You get to the end of chapter 4, and David is finally positioned to ascend to the throne. Now, he's already over the southern kingdom of Judah. He's ready to ascend to the throne over the northern king of Israel. I mean, this is like the moment that we've been waiting for. But right before we get to that ascension, him becoming the king, we get this verse at the end of chapter 4, which is at the end of our reading for today. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the tomb of Abner at Hebron. So you have these 2 men that are buried together. Who are these 2 men and what do they represent? Go back with me just a couple of chapters. Chapter 2, verse 8. David has just ascended to the throne of Judah, and now we read this. But Abner, the son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and he makes him king over Israel. So what now are the stumbling blocks between David, between where David is and David becoming king over all of Israel? Well, it's these 2 guys, Abner and Ishbosheth. They're the stumbling blocks. You get back to the end of chapter 4. What's happened to both of them? Well, both of them have died. The stumbling blocks between David becoming king and between where he is and him becoming king, they're now buried. Those things have been removed. Which, on the one hand, you say, okay, that's a good thing, but because David can now become king. But David is actually not happy that either of these men are in their tombs. Abner was murdered in cold blood by Joab. Abner had actually come over to join David. And he then was killed by another one of David's commanders named Joab in revenge because Abner had killed Joab's brother. Just a lot of blood here. So while David is happy that the road is being paved for him to become king, he recognizes that wasn't done in the right way. And then Ishbosheth, what happens with him? But something similar where 2 people come over to try to serve David, and they think they're going to gain David's favor by taking out his rival Ishbosheth. David's not happy about that either. So again, is it a good thing that no longer is Ishbosheth on the throne so that David can ascend to it? Yeah, that's a good thing. But David's not happy that it's happened in the wrong way. And I don't know, this is tough stuff. I mean, on the one hand, you look at it and you say, okay, like the way is being paved for a good thing to happen. That's good. But one of the things that I love about David, in the midst of all of David's mistakes, is that David seems to be a person who is committed to not only the right thing happening, but he wants the right thing to happen in the right way. And I have that temptation so often, friends. And if you've been in Cornerstone, I've said this. I have this temptation so often to allow the ends to justify the means. That to think that getting the good thing in the wrong way makes it the right way, but it doesn't. So at least for me, I get to the end of chapter 4 and I'm wrestling with that tension where, oh man, ever since David was anointed in 1 Samuel 16, which is 15 years beforehand in the timeline, we've been anticipating this good day where he finally ascends to the throne over all of Israel. But it's tainted by the fact that these two men are in their graves and they shouldn't be. We want to get the good things in the right way. I call this little study the wake. But we also want to look back at the wake for how we got to where God is calling us to be. And we want it to leave a positive wake. David looks and there's a wake of destruction behind him. And he's not happy about that. So let this just be an encouragement, friends. And think about Galatians 6:9. Don't grow weary in doing what is good. Sometimes staying committed to doing things the right way doesn't seem to bring the immediate benefits. But let's be those folks who keep our eyes on the horizon towards the good things that God has promised. But we stay committed in the moment to seeking to do things in the good, right, righteous way. So an encouragement to let's try to continue to be men, women. We have teenagers and kids that are part of this. Teenagers and kids who seek to do things in the right way, leaving a good wake behind us, trusting that God, maybe it'll take longer, but will get us to the right place. God bless you, friends. Keep with your reading. See you next time.